This is Liquid News Souvenir Edition on The Girly Show tonight. Okay, the new I Do. Madonna and Guy finally get hitched behind a castle portcullis in Scotland. Hoovering up the suspects, police snatched two following Rocco's Cathedral dunking. And how long will the happy couple stay happy? Bookies set divorce odds before the honeymoon's even begun. Hello, my name is Christopher Price, and this is a Liquid News live special on the wedding of the most famous woman in the world. In 1976, Madonna arrived in New York with just $35 and a pair of ballet shoes to her name. As we approach 2001, this multi-million selling global artist has married for the second time in a Scottish castle to a man who has seemingly tamed her wild heart. Over the next half hour, we'll bring you the latest pictures such as actually are available, and we'll hear from our team of reporters who have been in Dornoch for the week leading up to this evening's nuptial climax. This is Madonna Weds Guy on BBC Choice. Well, live to the centre of the media universe tonight, Skibo Castle. Waiting for us there is our chief reporter and kind of wedding consultant he's become over the last 6 days. It is, of course, Robert Nisbet. Robert, how are you doing?
Not too bad. I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm bearing up. I'm actually sinking in quite a load of mud at the moment. This is a bit like Glastonbury 1998. It's not particularly pleasant, and my lovely Jones boots that I bought in Covent Garden a couple of weeks ago are now the worst for wear.
Now, I take it, I actually know this, but just for everyone who's joining us, that is not, in fact, Skibo Castle directly behind you, is it?
It is the gates to the castle. We are actually about between half a mile and a mile to the castle. As you will find out probably over the course of the next 30 minutes, almost everything I say is speculation.
Well, that's good. That's just got you a promotion at BBC News, I can assure you of that. Let's cut to what we do actually know. When did this wedding happen? Because up until, I think, about a couple of hours ago, the world's media didn't know if it had happened or... So when did it happen, and what have you seen today?
We still don't know what time it actually happened. We understand that it happened between 5 and 6 this afternoon. If you go by the papers, all the tabloids were saying it was going to be at 6 o'clock. The Times newspaper was saying 7:30. We think that it has happened. That's the most that I can tell you, certainly because of the number of people who've been going through the gates. That was Sting that you see going through the gates earlier on of the castle. There's somebody in a car. That probably was a pizza delivery man or something going in and delivering something on the table. We have no idea who was in that car. Here's another exciting car. Now we know that that is Donatella Versace. Thank goodness for a recognizable haircut. She is meant to have designed the christening gown. Then there was another car behind that some people thought they saw Brad Pitt inside, but we haven't actually got any confirmation of that whatsoever. So what we're saying is lots of cars have gone in, not many people have come out. So therefore, we can assume that they probably are married. It's
a very nice vintage Mercedes, can I say, up in Dornoch. That's obviously the place to get married. Now, what about the actual couple themselves? So far, all we've seen all week is them arriving at the airport and then at the christening yesterday. The man with a big brush behind you. Did we actually expect more of them, to see more of them?
Probably not. We may get some shots tomorrow, but I think they're going to get in the back of that very discreet Range Rover and actually disappear. A total of 1 minute and 29 seconds Madonna and Guy Ritchie have actually spent in places where people could actually see them and train their lenses on them. They're, of course, arriving at Inverness Airport on Monday. Then, of course, going into the cathedral and coming out of the cathedral. If you add all of that together, it comes to 1 minute 29. If you think of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that news-gathering organizations from around the world have spent on actually covering the event, one could say that's a fairly poor return. But this is what Madonna's good at, is making us want more, less is more. We're intrigued by this woman who craves the limelight, and yet it guards her privacy with this intensity. She has her own, virtually her own police force here. That's why we're still interested. Robert, that's why we're all out here, because we still want to hear more.
Robert, just briefly, the press pack is still there. That's a very interesting point you raised. Do you actually think there'll be any form of backlash from perhaps, the tabloid reporters in the fact that they haven't seen more?
I don't think so, no, purely because this is all going to be about the newspapers that have been sold, the magazines that have been sold, and the TV ratings for shows such as Liquid News, to see whether people are tuning in if they really care about Madonna still, and obviously they do. That's why we're all still out here, even though we don't know any information about the wedding whatsoever.
I'm assuming there's more than just the two people behind you in duffel coats, but anyway, we'll come to them later.
Yeah, if you look over some of there, Christopher, you can see the remaining press pack. There are a few camera people. Yeah, that's a fairly desultory wave, really, wasn't it? You can tell that he's been standing out here for a very, very long time. I
love the Belgians. They're very fashionable. Now, let's just talk about this, because I'm dying to know. I don't even know what the inside of Skibo Castle looks like, and I hope you've been inside for us.
It's a step above your average motor lodge, I have to say. Rather glamorous place. It's just through there, as we say. Could be between half and a mile away. Probably out of our price range, but our cameras are allowed in for a little sneak preview. The ivy-clad turrets at Skibo sit in over 7,500 acres of land. But the pile isn't as old or as Scottish as it appears. It was built by the American-based businessman Andrew Carnegie in the 19th century. Now it's in the clutches of another entrepreneur, Peter de Savary, known to friends as PDS, who's turned the castle into an exclusive golf and sporting club. If non-members want to warm their wallets by the fire, it'll cost them £580 a night. Madonna isn't the first room service challenge the staff have faced. Jack Nicholson's entertained here, as have Bill Gates and his millions. Nor is it a nuptial debut for the castle. Both Ewan McGregor and Robert Carlyle exchanged vows in the rarefied air with its paparazzi-unfriendly perimeter fence. But neither of them were forced to barricade themselves inside to ensure total privacy. Today's careful couple picked Skibo because it holds happy memories for the groom, if not the pheasant population in its grounds, which he terrorized with his smoking barrels while his father was stationed at nearby Fort George with the Seaforth Highlander Regiment. All 47 rooms here are, of course, booked out all weekend, and the staff have been warned. Even chat to the media, and you'll have a P45 to remind you of Madonna and Guy's happy day. A rather nice pile, I'm sure you'd agree. And I'd like to come back and have a look at it after Christmas. Of course, it's booked up all over the weekend and for the next few weeks. Lots of publicity. Peter de Savary owns it. Will be delighted. Are
you actually related to Judith Chalmers in any way? Because I thought that was a beautiful travel-along through the roads. Let's get back to today. We saw Donatella Versace just briefly, but who do we know was inside that castle? I suppose it's the people we saw, arriving at the christening yesterday.
Absolutely. You can assume that all the people, all the celebrities who were actually in the cathedral last night will have been here for the wedding as well. There were a number of other people we were expecting to arrive. The big rumour was George Clooney. That got a lot of people very excited. We've seen hide nor hair of him, to be perfectly honest. Robbie Williams was also mentioned. We thought that he might be coming along. Again, no sign of him. So many of the other celebrities that have been mentioned haven't seem to have turned up. But interestingly, Jean-Paul Gaultier was spotted earlier today going through a tradesman's entrance. If you can imagine, the perimeter of this estate is absolutely... Now, Christopher.
Using the back door.
You can imagine... You couldn't resist, could you? This estate is obviously absolutely huge. There are lots of entrances to it, and Jean-Paul Gaultier went in through one of those earlier. So whether George and Robbie actually went through them on a moped, I don't know. That could possibly have happened. Sting and Trudy obviously inside. They came in, as we saw earlier on today. They actually came in separate cars to the wedding.
Can you confirm anything about Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston at all, apart from she's got lovely hair?
Well, apparently she really doesn't like a haircut, which is why she isn't going to be coming here, as we understand. But no, Brad, it's been quite an interesting story there, because first of all, we heard that because of fog at Inverness, he'd actually been diverted to RAF Kinross, and then we heard that he'd been diverted to Glasgow, and now it looks as if he's been diverted to Bora Bora or something, because we have not seen him here at all, and quite frankly, we're all very disappointed. Do
you know what? Do you think the fans will be disappointed? Because, I think we are. We expected a little bit more as the media. I don't know whether, we deserve to have it. It's not necessarily our God-given right, but do you think that the fans will? Because we're all using our imagination about what's been happening inside that castle, cousins getting off with cousins, that kind of thing.
Well, if the fans are disappointed, they've got a funny way of showing it in a way, because hardly any of them have turned up. If you went to the cathedral yesterday, there were lots of people outside, but they were almost all from the village. They were all local residents who just came really to see what all the fuss was about. At the airport where we were on Monday, there were 4 fans who actually made the effort to watch her walk down the gangplank. So I think maybe a lot of the fans have just been staying at home, watching the TV coverage, which has been, obviously fantastic on Liquid News, but also buying all of the newspapers, because it's been in all of them. It doesn't matter whether it was The Star or The Sun. The Telegraph has also devoted many column inches to it. It's been covered all the way across the media.
Well, Robert, I understand that we have actually helped fans, and you have a special Liquid News official BBC News recreation of the events, don't you?
Absolutely. Of course, a lot of our colleagues are extremely jealous because we have had very good access. We haven't at all. Basically, we put our heads together and thought, let's try and imagine what the day really was like for Madonna and Guy Ritchie. This is what we came up with. At first ray of light, Madonna may have tuned the engine of her Karma on Dornoch's sandy beach. Her yogic gymnastics, an ideal way to balance her spirit level and work off the effects of that last hen party sambuca forced on her by Gwyneth. For the groom, pre-wedding stress relief may have come in the form of animal execution, with a family of pheasants facing Christmas upside down on a hook. But with the bloodletting over, Madonna's attention might have turned back to putting a spring in the wedding party step by booking the right musical act to lead Robert and Trudy in a drunken chorus of New York, New York. Then off to Tain to deflower the local florist, en route to Dornoch's Trentham Hotel for the tender ministrations of Agnes and her head-to-toe salon. The talent's talons buffed and coated, the tresses teased to cowgirl perfection, time for Madonna to do her second I-dos and sink her choppers into expensively hand-sculpted fondant icing. With the ceremony over and the whiskey mingling with celebrity gastric juices, Liquid News imagines the moment the eligible had been in training for. The perfect excuse for Gwyneth to throw herself into the wedding fray and floor Mrs. Aniston Pitt with one well-aimed right hook. You see, that's what happens when you send journalists up to a remote part of Scotland and they've got too much time on their hands.
And too much alcohol in their bloodstream, I think. Anyway, let's get to a serious story that was breaking just last night after we came off air about the arrests that have happened. What details do you have on those?
Just a couple of arrests, someone in their 50s, someone in their 30s. We've been told that they've been charged with a variety of offences. There's the police station, obviously. The journalists, a lot of them gathered outside. And Susan Brown was inside the church in the cathedral earlier today cleaning up after the event. That's the organ. We understand that one of the men was actually hiding inside for a couple of days. There are certain rumours that he was working for a tabloid newspaper. Those haven't been confirmed. Obviously, the charges are there at the moment. They haven't actually been found guilty of any offence at the moment.
OK, Robert, thank you very much for that. We'll be back live outside Skibo Castle with our team of reporters a little later in the show. Let's come back to London for the moment. And with us in the studio tonight with expert analysis on this superstar and, I suppose, her life is Lucy O'Brien, who's the author of She Bop. That is the definitive history of women in rock, pop and soul. And also with us is someone you definitely want on your pub quiz team if a Madonna question came up. He is Stephen Jones, who's the editor of the UK Madonna fanzine, which is called Absolute Ciccone. And there it is. And very informative it is. So, Stephen, start with you. Are you disappointed that they haven't given us more from their lovely wedding day?
No, it's their wedding. It's a private occasion. Not disappointed at all. And we got loads of stuff yesterday from the...
If it is a private occasion, obviously they have made the decision to kind of really go public with this, though, in a way. They posted the wedding bands. Everyone's known for months in the media where it is. They could have done this privately with nobody knowing both the christening and the wedding. So it's not quite as clear as that, though, is it?
But I think if they did it privately, someone would find out. It would leak. It always does with Madonna. You know, something always leaks out, and once that would happen, it would just be a complete media frenzy at this way. At least this way it's controlled.
Lucy, what is it about this woman that there is the world's largest gathering of paparazzi media as we speak outside of Freezing Castle in Scotland with no pictures coming today? What is it about her?
Well, she's the new royalty. I mean, since Princess Diana died, there's been a gap, really. And I think people are a bit tired of Posh and Becks and the media circus surrounding them. So really, Madonna and Guy are the new aristocracy. They're the new royalty.
As I said, in '76 she came to New York. We all know that kind of fairy tale beginning, supposedly with $35. How did she get to the year 2001 with so much musical credibility around, I think? For most people, a lot of critics, but musically, how did she get here?
I think it's interesting that she has really got longevity. I think at the beginning of her career, people kept saying, oh, well, next year she'll be gone, that'll be it, it'll be over. But she's consistently come back with really strong quality pop songs. And as she said recently, well, actually, maybe it's because I'm a good writer. And then recently she's linked up with really good collaborators like William Orbit and Mirwais, and that's just accelerated her development, really.
Yeah, last album, #1 in something like 26 territories, certainly is still the Queen of Pop. Coming up still on this special edition, Madonna for Guy, the relationship under the microscope, plus why one of her exes is actually at the castle. Well, Robert has been bringing us the latest pictures and stories all week from the Highlands. Another member of the Liquid News team has been honing in on the bride and groom in particular and what makes them tick. Also joining us live from Skibo Castle is our reporter Rebecca Cooper, or as we like to call her in the office, Dr. Love Rebecca Cooper, of course. You'll be monitoring them. They do look very happy together. How much of a good match are they, do you think?
I think they're a very good match from what we've heard. You know, friends have always said that the thing about Madonna is that she wants somebody who's equal to her. And the problem in the past is that they haven't been. Well, obviously we don't see an awful lot of photographs of them, but when we do, we've noticed a change, Madonna. She's washing his car very early on into the relationship. She's hanging out with his friends like Kelly Brook. That's somebody who's happy to be with them. Now, they did have some problems earlier on. When they first started going out with each other, they broke up after a while because they realised, well, Madonna, I think, couldn't work out whether she wanted to be here enough. But obviously, that time apart, they realised that they did actually want to be together. They got back together again. They realised then that they could make it work. Madonna's become a self-confessed Anglophile. She loves our pubs. She loves our schools. She loves our culture. She doesn't love our hospitals, though.
No, she
but
doesn't.
I think that is a test that it really is true love.
This is the groom, Mr. Ritchie, a self-made millionaire. He's quite a guy. This is Mrs. R. She's gorgeous. She's one lady who knows how to take care of herself. By the way, my name's Emma, and I'm amazed they got this far, because when Guy and Madge met, the press predicted murder. Oh yes, the Ritchies are one couple who are heart to heart. Guy has succeeded where all the others failed in defrosting the Ice Queen. By stepping into the ring and taming Pop's ultimate prize, he's proved he's maybe qualified for life as Mr. Madonna. Of course, Guy managed to snare Madonna because of his wide boy image, but in fact his connections are much more West End than East End. The closest he ever got to lowlife was serving Sloane's at a bar here in trendy Fulham. But the only shooting he ever did was on his stepfather's country estate, and his contact with drugs came at public school, when he was expelled for allegedly snorting speed on school sports day. Every director's mandatory wilderness years followed, fueled by Guy's dream to give Britain its first decent gangster film since the 1960s. 3 years of bowing and scraping later, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels catapulted him onto celebrity's A-list. But Sting and Trudy Styler lent a hand at the party they threw in LA. Across the crowded room, his eyes met those of one Madonna Louise Ciccone. She too was on a roll. Ray of Light had just put her back at the top of the style tree after she fell off and hit every branch on the way down with her 1992 book Sex. She said on meeting him she went wobbly bonkers and that her head didn't just turn, it spun around. This tender exorcist-style moment was spoiled by his apparent indifference. But against the odds, BT whooped it up for the next year as their transatlantic relationship blossomed. Friends said it was a miracle Snatch ever got finished because Guy spent so much time on the phone. But fisticuffs followed when he refused to live in the USA. But treating her mean kept Madge keen. They reunited to a coup she'd met her equal, and she went house hunting in London. Why became obvious. Ritchie Jr. was born in August this year.
About half the size of me, and I mean, I don't know if you know, but they don't do a lot when they come out. They just sort of stare at you. But yeah, it's good as gold.
Enter Madge a month later sporting a rock the size of the Grand Canyon, and the question was when and where, rather than whether they'd be saying I do. From then on, it really was anyone's guess where the wedding of the year would take place, until it was finally confirmed to be Skibo in Scotland, where Guy had apparently proposed to her. Life as Mr. and Mrs. Madonna Ritchie is clearly benefiting them both. He takes calls from Brad begging to be in his movies, and there isn't a studio in the world who'd turn Guy down, even if his films are identical. And he's performed the seemingly impossible with his missus. Madge has mellowed from Material Girl to Lucky Star, the Mayfair mum who struts her stuff round London's hippest venues. She's 42 and the world's biggest cultural icon. All that and happiness too. Emma Jones, BBC News.
So I think you can safely say that after 2 years of will they, won't they, well, they have apparently done so. Sometime between 5 and 6 this evening, we've been told.
Now, Bex, I understand you've been looking at the guest list slightly lower down beneath Gwyneth Paltrow, and you've noticed that one of her exes is actually there. Which one is it?
This is Carlos Leon, her personal trainer, but most importantly, father of Lourdes. She met him apparently when they were out jogging in 1995. He then fathered Lourdes. It obviously went very well. perplexing why he's here, really, because if you believe some tabloid reports, he's not supposed to treat, well, Madonna's not supposed to treat him very well. Apparently her pet name for him is Sperminator. But I don't think that really can be true, because why else would he be here? Apart from, rumour has it, he did actually help Madonna with a yoga session today, and probably Gwyn joined in as well, because she's into a little bit of a stanga. Trudy and, of course, Sting, they like a little bit of tantric, so there you go. He's probably been quite useful today.
Rebecca, as our love reporter officially for this week, Bookmakers is offering odds of 101 against Madonna and Ritchie divorcing before the end of 2001, so not that hopeful necessarily. Do you think it's going to last?
I hope so. That's all I can say.
Hopeless romantic. It's
Yeah,
the Skibo Castle. It's the Scottish Highlands of got you. Used to be such a lovely old hack when you were down here, but you've gone all mushy anyway. Bex, thank you very much for joining us live from Skibo Castle on those kind words. Anyway, back to our studio guest, Stephen. As a fan, what do you hope for this? Because you must get quite involved with her and her kind of personal life from a distance, obviously. So what do you hope for her from this relationship?
You can only hope that she'll be happy at the end of it. You know, she's got a family now, so just that she'll be happy and it lasts.
Is he the right man for her?
I don't know. I don't know. She seems happy, so...
What is it about her that makes you dedicate so much of your spare time to her?
She's just always interesting. She's always changing her musical style, and I think, I mean, I'm a big music fan. I like loads of different kinds of music, and she's always experimenting and always on top, so keep on coming back for more.
Lucy, where does she kind of stand in the hierarchy of female performers in modern pop history, do you think?
Well, at the moment she's the boss, really, and I think it's quite interesting that women seem to like her more than men do. Men can sort of take her or leave her, I mean, aside from your good self. But so many women, to so many women, she's a real heroine, and I think it's because she's always been so strong and standing up for her beliefs and not seeking approval and really going just the way she wants to go. Where
do you think she will go next? Because, I mean, it's hard to always to guess this, but it's kind of credible dance music. You know, she was Mother Earth in Ray of Light, then she became kind of credible dance music, rediscovered her musical youth, so to speak, not the actual pop group who disappeared. Where do you think she'll go next?
Well, the credible dance music is working very well, and she's really getting into British culture and European culture, and I can see her carrying on in that vein and maybe working with, say, some young drum and bass producers or mixing up pop again with experimental dance.
But no reggae? Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
you never know.
You never know. She can do that quite well.
Sade did a bit of reggae with her album, so maybe we've got Lovers Rock coming
Never
up.
happened.
Never happened. Anyway, still ahead, our final trip to Skibo as Madonna Week comes to an end. He's back with his generator. Is that a generator we could hear? But was your own personal heater we flew up for you?
It is a generator. It's for these marvellous arc lights that show me off in such beautiful relief.
Yes, you're looking. I thought it was a pizza bike you had on standby because you're getting a little beckish. There is the castle about a mile away, we actually think, behind you. Those are the gates. We haven't seen anything from the actual wedding day. What do you think? Will they release a photo, do you think?
I honestly don't know. I think it would probably be a very good idea for them too, because obviously a lot of people have been up here for a long time, and I think a lot of people would just be interested to see it, to be perfectly honest, and to be splashed all over the front pages and indeed on programs like this. So it remains to be seen whether they will or not. If not, then we'll just mock one up. We'll get that Madonna lookalike in one more time, and we will create our own.
And you know we're going to do it on this particular show.
Oh, yes.
What is this week? What has this week done for her? I don't know, the management of her celebrity status, because some people say it's Christmas, we're all going to forget it. What is the long-term effect on her celebrity?
It caps a fabulous year for her, and I think it just confirms her as the most famous woman in the world. Why else would we all be out here? And for many of the reporters, I think they've really enjoyed themselves, because it's been a return to old-fashioned entertainment news gathering. Teams of people scrabbling around, trying to outscoop everybody else, as opposed to the rather boring entertainment-driven world that we have at the moment, where everything is run by press conferences. That's been quite entertaining. I mean, look at the Sun today. They credited 17 people in their team, 10 of which were reporters and 7 of which were camera people. You don't often get that kind of event over a christening and a wedding.
And we've flown up. What have we got? We've got 110 there, haven't we?
110, that's after the other 400 flew home.
That's including the pack mules to carry your wardrobe, of course. Just finally, congratulations on not being arrested, because the police in Dornoch were actually saying if anyone crossed those barricades at the cathedral yesterday, there were in fact going to be arrested. And we thought that you'd actually secured the bouquet, that you'd wrestled it off Gwyneth Paltrow, and that you were bringing it to us, so you didn't get arrested.
I didn't, and I managed to sleep quite happily in the organ for a couple of nights.
As the saying goes. Robert Nisbet, thank you very much for all your work live from Scotland. It's been a pleasure to see you, and good luck tonight. You're going straight to bed, of course.
Straight to bed with a bottle of whiskey.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much for joining us live from Skibo this week. Just very briefly on this, in terms of... I can't get over the fact that I'm disappointed and I'm not running the Madonna fanzine, that I haven't seen more. You seem perfectly at ease with it.
Well, yeah, of course, you just accept it. I mean, it's her day. You've got to accept that.
I think it gives her more cred points, actually, that she didn't sell her wedding to, well, we won't mention their names, but certain magazines, and that she did keep it private. I think that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. There were rumours, of course, that perhaps the price was too high. Those are unconfirmed, and they would be scurrilous rumours if I'd said them on a live news show. But, I mean, that is the point, that perhaps it was going to be too high. Anyway, thank you very much for being with us. It is a pleasure to have you with us. And before we go, nothing related to Madonna, but we're going to do this. Before we go, congratulations and a Merry Christmas to our competition, our Christmas competition winner. Have the name here. It is Naila Young, who lives in Northwood in Middlesex. That was the first name out of the hat. Naila wins a Liquid News hamper full of signed books, CDs, computer games, and a photo of me. Isn't it special?
Oh, lovely.
Lovely, isn't it?
The sun can use that.
You can.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for being with us. And there we end our Liquid News live special on the wedding of one Miss Madonna Ciccone and one Mr. Guy Ritchie. They didn't exactly invite the world's media to the altar, but this week in Dornoch has certainly been different. Liquid News will be with you all through the Christmas period with our kind of reviews of the entertainment year, but we leave you now with the woman who's been centre stage of the pop world for 2 decades and who's certainly under the spotlight on her wedding day in the Scottish Highlands. My name is Christopher Price, but this is most certainly Madonna. From everyone on the Liquid News team, have a happy Christmas and good night.
You must be my lucky star, 'cause you make the darkness seem so far. When I love to be my guide, I just turn all off and you're by my side. Holiday, celebrate, being saving it all for you, 'cause only love can last. You're so fine, and you're mine. Make me strong, yeah, you make me fall. You look right out, yeah, you look right out. What is getting cold? Treat me like I'm a bad girl, even when I'm being good to you. I don't want you to thank me, you can just thank me. Some guys like sweet talk, and others they like to tease. Tie my hands behind my back, and ooh, I'm in ecstasy. Don't stop me with kisses, I can get that from my sisters. Before I get too cranky, you better like hanky panky.
Having a baby and being able to love my daughter the way that I feel I missed out on it obviously had a really healing effect on me.
Sometimes it gets so hard to hide it well. Gotta separate you never. Gotta separate you never. Gotta separate you never.
It looks like my dad, which is a bit worrying, really.
Hey, Mr. DJ.
the traditional Christmas has been